So I'll start off by introducing myself. So my name is Rowan. I go to SJSU. I'm a senior at SJSU. The schedule is a little bit weird. So I'm actually going to be graduating next fall. So I have 2 semesters left. I have spring and then fall. And I'm majoring in software engineering. So I guess that's what I'm going to be talking to all of you guys about today, the software engineering major at SJSU. Oh, and just a little bit more background. I went to Foothill. Of course, I'm a Foothill alumni. When I was at Foothill, I would say I was like an okay student. I did all right in my classes, and I got I got an associate's for transfer in computer science and also one in math. All right, so let's see, what should I start off by talking about? Let's go to the sheet with some questions on it. Okay, so yeah, why did I choose to attend SJSU in particular? So the biggest reason is because I live like around the area and SJSU is close by, so I can commute to it. And then yeah, that was the main reason. And then also I looked up SJSU and I saw some pretty good things about their engineering department. And that as well was a good reason. So I would say SJSU, there are 3 like kind of connected majors. There's like computer science, there's software engineering, and then there's applied math, applied computational math. And all 3 of the majors share, I would say, like three-quarters of the class. So the only difference between them is what you're doing in your like upper div classes. So they have the same lower div. You have to take like databases, you have to take a few math classes like calculus, discrete math. There's some like statistics and probability courses. And then for the upper divs, if you're doing software engineering, all of your upper div classes are project-based, and they're taught in the software engineering department. You know what? Let me see if I can find a, let me see if I can share my screen and show you the like software engineering major page. Here we go. Just finding the course catalog. Okay. Here, let me share my screen. Oh, can I have permission? No?
Pranav is the host now, so he has to do
Oh,
that.
okay.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So you can all see my screen, right? Okay. So all of these like major preparation courses, by the time you transfer, you'll already be done with these. So you don't have to worry about them. And then you'll also probably be done with differential equations and linear algebra. Although I'm not sure if that's a requirement. So here's what you're going to be taking. You're going to be taking a probability and statistics class. That's this is calculus based, so you need calculus to take it. This one is really fun. I really liked it, and one of my favorite professors at SJSU taught this one, so great course. And then you'll already have taken these courses, and you'll probably have taken intro to engineering as well. So these are the courses that you'll have to take no matter what. So you'll have to take an assembly programming class that's in x86. You'll have to take this class, which is, are any of you CS majors? Yeah, if you're a CS major, it's just like CS10. So if you've taken CS10, both of these classes are, I would honestly say they're like easier than CS10. And they're kind of just the same material. Yeah, so it's kind of like 2 classes that teach essentially the same material as CS10. Yeah. Okay. And then these classes over here, these are all really, really good. I love these classes. These are like the CS department. So SJSU has some great professors for data structures and algorithms. They have a really good professor for operating systems, for object-oriented programming, and for DBMS. Now, these classes are kind of like the core of the software engineering major. And this is like what differentiates software engineering from CS or from applied math. So the software engineering major, it's massive, right? If you think about the other majors, they'll usually graduate like a semester or a year earlier than software engineering majors, because software engineering majors have to take a lot of these classes in the computer engineering department. And this is where they're kind of pros and cons. So these classes are mostly project-based, which is really good for your resume. But then sort of the con is that the compy department doesn't have the best professors. So a lot of your classes that you're going to end up taking are going to be taught by professors who either teaching isn't their full-time like gig, or yeah, or they're just not great professors, right? Like for example, right now I'm taking software quality engineering and software engineering process management, and these classes are taught by a professor who's not a software engineer and doesn't have a CS background. So it doesn't feel great, right? But I will say, yeah, the thing that you're getting out of these classes that you won't get out of another major is like, you'll do a lot of projects for all of them. And the projects you can put directly in your resume. So it's really good experience. Yeah, so let's see, what did I cover? Yeah, so the software engineering major, it's a bit longer than the other ones. So you'll graduate a little bit later, and you'll end with a lot more projects than if you do the other two majors. But kind of at the cost of it doesn't, like, the classes are not taught like amazingly. So it kind of feels like what you get out of the classes is what you put in. It's not like you're learning so much as like you have an opportunity to work with other with your peers to like make projects. So yeah, you kind of get out what you put in to all of these classes. Let's see, there's a question. So how does semester compare to quarter? Yes, SJSU is semester. I would say SJSU is like, it's a lot slower paced on the semester system, which is nice. You can have more of a social life. Yeah. Yeah, I remember the workload at Foothill was a lot higher than the workload at SJSU. So what's the class sign up like? I've heard that you don't get to choose your teachers. You do get to choose your teachers. Oh yeah, let me pause my screen share. Okay. Yeah, you do get to choose your teachers. So it's just like Foothill. The only difference is some of the classes, they won't like immediately list who the professor is, but about half of them, because they don't always know, right? It's like a scheduling thing. But they will post who the professor is like ASAP. So you can choose your professors for sure. And I would recommend that. It's more important at SJSU than it is at Foothill to use like Rate My Professor, because the quality of professors it's not like Foothill, right? Like at Foothill, this is like your baseline professor. This is like a great professor. This is a bad professor. At SJSU, right? This is your baseline. A great professor is like up here, and a bad professor is like way down there. So you definitely want to make sure that you're using like Rate My Professor and talking to other people. Yeah. What's the social culture like as a commuter school? Yep, that's a good question. Yeah, so I found the social culture to be kind of similar to Foothill in a way, but Foothill, the clubs, right? Like for example, this is the math club, right? And like you'll see like a core group of like some like really dedicated people in the clubs, but you don't see like a lot of students in the clubs. So that's a big difference. SJSU has a lot of people in their clubs. So the biggest clubs, let me write them down. It's SCE, which is I think it's like, shoot, what does that stand for again? I don't know. It's something like it's like the CS/ like SE major club, basically. That's the biggest club. It has probably like a couple of hundred people in it. So if you're worried about like the social culture, you know, don't be. It's probably a little bit easier to make friends at SJSU than it is here, especially if you're interested in like software engineering. Let's see. Off topic, but I heard that CS majors has to take a CS appreciation class. What's a CS appreciation class? I'm not sure. We can check right now. We can take a look at the CS course catalog. Is it easy to find job and internship opportunities? Yes. Yes and no. So CS is like very, very, very competitive. And I'm sure some of you guys know this or you've heard it, right? CS is like super competitive, and finding a job at like a top tech company is very, very competitive. So SJSU gets all of the job fairs. Like all of the companies will come to hire you. But eventually, just like, you know, a student from any university, eventually you'll have to pass like a LeetCode code style interview. That's just kind of the reality of it. But you will get at SJSU, you will get to speak to lots of recruiters. You'll get to speak to all of the top tech companies. And through the clubs, there are also like a lot of opportunities. So yes, there are a lot of job and internship opportunities at SJSU. I would say, yeah, SJSU is, I think, the most hired from university for like Apple, I believe. And I think that's true for a lot of big tech companies. Like they hire a lot of students out of SJSU because it's like it's right in the center of Silicon Valley, right? It might be slightly easier to get a job if you went to like UC Berkeley or like you know, one of the like traditionally like thought of like top tier schools. But I think it's actually probably pretty similar because, you know, like all of the tech companies do come to SJSU. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. Okay, can you switch your major if you want to after being admitted? Not easily, no. Yes, you can, but I've heard of some people who put in an application and it took a year to be processed. So especially if you're a transfer student, I would not recommend entering in one major and then hoping to switch to another major. I would just apply for the major that you want to get into. Yeah. Yeah. Did I receive any scholarships or financial aid? I personally didn't, but I know SJSU offers, I don't know a lot about like SJSU financial aid, but I know they give probably similar financial aid to other public universities, so I'm not sure. Did having an AST help with classes at SJSU? Yes, definitely. Yeah. The skills that you learn at Foothill will carry you through a lot of SJSU classes. Especially like pay close attention in CS10. That's my biggest advice. CS10 at Foothill is like that class will pay dividends. If you really like go deep on the material from that class will span like 4 or 5 different classes at SJSU. And kind of like the base understanding, right? Like 2's complement numbers, some basics of like assembly and computer architecture, like understanding how a processor works, right? You need to know all of that for operating systems. You need to know that for there's another like computer organization architecture class, right? And even some of the like software engineering classes, they'll still ask you on exams like binary questions or like very basic like computer architecture questions. So it's, yeah, CS10 at Foothill is kind of crucial. And then the other ones at Foothill that are really good are if you've taken the Java series, that's a big plus for SJSU. SJSU does everything in Java. So if you've taken like CS1A, 1B, 1C, and you've taken CS10 at Foothill, I would say you'll probably have a leg up on the other people at SJSU, actually. I think you'll be ahead of them. Yeah. Okay, why did I choose SE over CS? So the reason that I did that was because I heard SE was project-based, and also because I was worried that my GPA wouldn't pass the CS cutoff. My GPA actually did end up passing the cutoff. So in retrospect, I might have actually chosen CS over SE, but it's kind of close. Yeah. It depends what kind of student you are, actually. If you can motivate yourself to like do the projects in your own time, then I might recommend doing CS over SE, because really the only advantage of SE is you get all of the projects on your resume. CS, you'll graduate a little bit quicker, and your professors on average will be a little bit better, but you won't get the projects, right? Yeah. Okay, what kind of projects am I referring to? So for almost every class, you'll have some kind of like project that you'll have to complete. And the projects are mostly kind of up to you, right? So they don't actually enforce like, oh, you have to build like a web app, or oh, you have to build like an iOS app. You can kind of choose. If you want to make an iOS app, you can make an iOS app. Mainly what SJSU is interested in is that you follow up on the like deliverables. So they'll tell you like, oh, you can make any project you want, but like every week you'll have to come up with a list of user stories, or come up with a list of functional requirements, or show how you've tested like a certain aspect of your project, or something like this, right? And then at the very end, it'll be like you'll have to demo it. But there are like more specific projects. So like for DBMS, I had to make a web app that uses like MySQL. And then I know for some electives, there are also like NoSQL projects as well. And if you're not sure what MySQL is, it's a database language. Okay, biggest pros and cons of SJSU. I guess the biggest pro for me is, since I live like close by to school, I can just kind of live at home, which is really nice. It's very convenient for me. It's pretty cheap. And I would say also like the CS and math department has some really cool professors. So that's a great pro. I think SJSU is like, yeah, they have some very good CS and math professors. And then the cons, I would say, I don't like a lot of the professors in the computer engineering department. And I've heard that's a pretty common complaint. And then in terms of other cons, I guess the social life at SJSU is probably like not as great as other universities, but for me, I'm kind of okay. I actually really like the way that like people socialize in like Foothill, and I think it's pretty similar like between Foothill and SJSU. So if you manage to find like a good community at Foothill, then you'll find a good community at SJSU as well. Is it easy to get the classes you want? Yeah, I've never had an issue like registering for a class. I've never had a class like fill up so that I couldn't get it. But it's not easy to get the professors you want, because some of your classes, you're just stuck, right? It's like I don't know, I don't want to offend anybody, but like at Foothill for like math 1D and like math 2A and 2B, right? You don't always have the best like pick of professors, and some quarters you just kind of have to suck it up. So at SJSU, I would say it's kind of like that, but your choices at SJSU are maybe a little bit worse even than Foothill. So yeah. What's my favorite thing to do on campus and why? I don't actually spend a lot of time on campus. Because again, like I live at home, so I kind of just commute. But nearby campus, there's a really great taco truck. It's called Las Delicias del Tunita, I think. I'm pronouncing that terribly. Yeah, place is really good. And SJSU has pretty good nightlife if you're into that. Like, because it's right in the heart of like downtown San Jose. So if you're into like going clubbing and stuff, they're always active. Oh, yeah, one more thing. SJSU has like an esports team, and they're not giving scholarships yet, but they're starting on it. And our Valorant team is amazing. And so if you're like a really good Valorant team, you know, you could join the esports club. And then I play a lot of League of Legends, so I joined the league team at SJSU. I'm the team captain of the like B team. Yeah. Do I feel safe on campus? Yeah, I feel safe on campus. I've heard not everybody feels safe on campus. My girlfriend, when she lived in the dorms, I think she mentioned that she heard a lot of gunshots. And also it's like SJSU is kind of located in like the downtown of like a metro area, right? So, you know, the downtown area of like cities is not always like the best place especially at night. But during the day, yeah, it's fine. During the day, yeah, it'll be just fine. What's the parking situation? Yeah, so you have to buy like a parking pass for like, I think it's like $400 for a year or something. It's pretty expensive. And then the first like, I don't know how this happens. For the first like 2 weeks, it's impossible to find parking. Like you'll literally drive around the parking garages for like an hour and a half to find a parking spot. And then after 2 weeks, there are no cars in the parking garage. So I guess everybody just attends school for the first 2 weeks and then they stop coming. But yeah, parking is really bad for the first, like the beginning of the semester, and then it's fine for the rest. Do I recommend a heavy flashlight for self-protection? I mean, I don't have one. I've never felt like unsafe per se. But I can see how people would, especially if you live in dorms. So yeah, if having like a flashlight makes you feel safer, then yeah, definitely. Are there any student perks as a student at SJSU? And also, how's the gym? Yeah, I guess the gym is one of the perks. Yeah, the gym is like amazing. It's really, really good gym. It's actually so good that it's always crowded, which is kind of a downside. But if you get there early in the morning or like at night, it's an amazing gym. It's so good. There's what do we have in the gym? Okay, we have a massive pool. We have too much like weightlifting equipment. There's so much. It's an insane amount. And all of the machines are like really good. All of the racks, like all of the free weights are like amazing, like super high quality. And there's a climbing wall. Yes, which is great because I do a lot of rock climbing. Yes, there is a rock climbing wall. Yeah, that's how I started. That's how I got into rock climbing, was at SJSU. Yeah. There is a climbing wall. There's like a little boulder. It's not so big. It's pretty small. And then there's like an okay size climbing wall. Yeah. It's pretty good though. Yeah. Okay. My favorite gen ed class. I finished all my gen eds before I transferred. But my favorite class was probably the probability and statistics. I loved that class. It's not like God, what is it at Foothill? Is it like math 10? Is that like this? Yeah. So it's not like that. Math 10 is like a very, very brief version, and it's mostly just statistics based. The one at Foothill is more like probability based. So I would say if you like discrete math, this class is really cool. And it's also a calculus based class. So there's just a little bit of calculus, though. It's pretty easy. I really like that one because the professor, B. Langley, amazing professor. And then other classes I really liked. Here, I'll just write a list of like my favorite classes. So Math 161A, which is probability and statistics. And then CS 157A was relational databases. That class is really cool because there's a great professor, Mike Wu, who helps you build like your database, your database website. So that's really cool. And then also operating systems. There's a great professor, Ben Reed. Yeah. Okay, how many transfers come to SJSU compared to non-transfers? I've met a lot of transfers at SJSU, and I've met a lot of people from Foothill and Dianza at SJSU. I would say it's maybe like in the software engineering department, it's maybe even like 50-50. Like for every non-transfer, you'll find one transfer. So there are a lot. Is the college meeting your expectations? So just to be fully honest, I'm a little bit disappointed by a lot of the like upper division software engineering classes, because it is nice to have the projects on my resume, but also it doesn't really feel like I'm learning anything. So kind of like my last 2 semesters here, I'm mostly just taking classes where I don't really feel like I'm learning anything. I'm more just like building things that I could build in my free time. And that's like what's keeping me from graduating. So it's, I would say right up until like the very last year, I would say it definitely met my expectations. And then now as I'm having to finish off like these final few classes, well, these are the classes with like the worst professors. So yeah, it's tough. Have I had an internship? I haven't, but a lot of my friends have. And yeah, there are lots of opportunities for internships. So I know a lot of people are working at like Google, Amazon, Facebook, you know, like all of the top tier tech companies hire from SJSU. So if you're interested in that, SJSU, great place. If you want to work for like a big tech company. Yeah. Do I plan on getting a master's? I don't think so. No, probably not. Yeah, probably not. I think I'm a little bit tired of school now because I've been in university for like, what, when did I start? My first year of Foothill, I was like 17. Now I'm 22. I'll graduate at 23. I think I need a break. But I would love like at some point down the road, I would love to do like a master's in like math or something. Sounds pretty cool. Um, one other thing, I'm sure you guys have heard this before probably, but it's definitely true, which is having a master's degree doesn't really help you if your goal is to like get into a big tech company. Really like the only thing that gatekeeps people from getting into the tech company is can they pass the technical interview, which is like lead code. So if you know what lead code is, that's really like the most important step to getting an internship is being good at lead code. It's not your GPA. It's not what school you went to. It's not like, do you have a bachelor's or a master's? It's, you know, can you do lead code? Okay, so last suggestions and advice. I guess the biggest piece of advice is CS10 is really important. You know, I know it's tough. I know Riordan is pretty unorganized, but yeah, that class teaches you essentially everything that you need for Foothill. And if you just passing that class, you'll have enough in like you'll have enough to do well at SJSU. Like CS10 at Foothill is really hard, but it really does like you learn a lot in CS10. So my biggest piece of advice is just you know, even if you're like burnt out, just try to do your best. Absorb all of the info that you can from CS10 because that class really helps. Yeah. All right. Did I have an alternate major? I don't remember. I don't think you can do an alternate major, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure. If I did have an alternate major, it would have been like CS or applied math. Yeah, honestly, if you get into SJSU in any of those majors, it's like your education is going to be essentially the same, because you're going to be taking essentially the same classes and essentially the same professors. It's mostly you just want to make sure like you come out of university with like, here, I'll write it down. Like the important classes are like operating systems, database management, object-oriented programming, and what's the last one? Like data structures and algorithms. Like these are like the 4 most important classes. So whatever you're doing, whatever major you're doing, make sure you take these classes and hopefully do well in them, because those are really the important ones.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions before we can probably wrap it up if Rowan doesn't have anything else to say? If you do, put them in the chat, otherwise we can wrap up.
All right. Whew, I feel like I was talking really fast. All right. Yeah, well, thank you guys for listening to me. Hopefully
Yes,
you learned something. I would definitely recommend. I loved Foothill. Foothill, like the teachers, the students, you guys are all amazing. I love Foothill so much. And I really like SJSU as well. So if you're thinking about SJSU, I would for sure recommend it. Yeah. It's a good experience. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you
thank you
guys
so
for listening.
much, Rowan.